A lab experiment is carried out in a controlled environment. The independent variable is directly manipulated and all extraneous variables are controlled. The participants are randomly allocated to conditions. A field experiment takes place in a natural environment. The independent variable is manipulated, but the extraneous variables cannot be controlled to the same extent as in a lab experiment. The participants aren't always randomly allocated. A natural experiment is an experiment where the variations of the independent variable are not directly manipulated but naturally occurring. There is no random allocation of participants to conditions. In any experiment, there is an independent and dependent variable. The independent variable is the factor that the researcher manipulates. They have control over this variable. The dependent variable is the factor that the researcher measures. This condition is affected by the independent variable. Extraneous variables can also affect the results of an experiment. If these variables aren't controlled, they can interfere with the effect of the independent variable on the dependent variable, which reduces the validity of the results. These can include the time of day, the temperature and weather, lighting, as well as participant variables, which are factors such as age, intelligence, gender, mood, and personal circumstances, to name a few. Physical extraneous variables can only truly be controlled in a lab experiment. There are three main types of sampling when it comes to designing research. Volunteer sampling is when a study consists of individuals who have chosen to be involved in the study. For example, people may respond to an advert in a newspaper asking for participants for an experiment. Opportunity sampling is simply selecting people that are available at the time. For example, the researcher may go up to people in a cafe and ask them to be interviewed. Finally, there's random sampling. This is where every member of a population has an equal chance of being selected. Using a repeated measures design, the same participants take part in each condition. For example, in an experiment to see how the amount of sleep affects concentration, the participant would get 2 hours of sleep in one night and 10 hours of sleep on another night. Independent measures involves using two separate groups of participants, with one participant in each condition. Using the same experiment as an example, one participant may have 2 hours of sleep, and the other participant in the other condition would get 10 hours of sleep. In the matched pairs design, similar participants are matched and take part in separate conditions. This reduces participant variables. When any researcher carries out a study, they must follow the ethical guidelines. Debriefing involves informing the participants after the experiment of the true aim of the experiment and the findings. Informed consent is where the participant is told beforehand what the experiment entails and the participant has to agree to take part. Confidentiality is when the participants are assured that their personal details will be kept secret. Protection of participants ensures that the participants will not undergo any physical or mental harm. Deception is a guideline which dictates that the participants should not be deceived in any way, although sometimes this is necessary for an experiment. Right to withdraw is when the participants can withdraw from an experiment at any time. Participants should be told this before they start the experiment. Giving advice occurs after the experiment has taken place. The researcher should give advice to any participants with queries regarding the experiment in order to put the participant at ease.